So you remember that Korean drama, Squid Game, that completely blew up back in 2021? Of course you do. Now, most of us just binged it on our couches, right? But one of the biggest YouTubers on the planet, MrBeast, he did something wild. He decided to build the whole thing for real. It's a question we all probably asked ourselves while watching. But for a few hundred people, this wasn't just some what-if scenario. This was a real-life test of nerve, of strategy, and, let's be honest, a whole lot of luck. You heard that right. 456 actual people, the exact same number as in the show, were flown in to compete. Every single one of them hoping they had what it takes to be the last one standing. And this is what was on the line. A truly life-changing grand prize of $456,000. Think about that. That's $1,000 for every single person who started the game. The prize itself was as symbolic as it was massive. And you have to understand the scale of this project was just insane. I mean, this wasn't some cheap knockoff. MrBeast and his team painstakingly rebuilt every single iconic set. From that crazy maze of staircases to the giant playground, it was a completely immersive experience. So the competition kicks off with what I like to call the great culling. The whole point of these first few games was just brutal efficiency. They needed to slash the number of contestants, and they needed to do it fast. First up, the iconic red light, green light. You've got 456 people, 30 minutes on the clock to get across the room. But here's where MrBeast put his own little spin on it. He threw in a yellow light just to mess with people. One tiny twitch at the wrong time, and a device strapped to your chest would pop. Game over. And just look at the result. In just one game, over 200 people were out. I mean, almost half the competition was gone before they even knew what hit them. So much for all that strategizing, huh? For a lot of them, it was over in a flash. Next up was the honeycomb challenge. You had to pick a shape, not knowing what it was, and then carve it out of this super delicate cookie in just 10 minutes. If you got the circle, you were probably feeling pretty good. But pulling the umbrella? Oh man, that was basically a death sentence. Okay, so after all that stress, MrBeast throws another curveball. He offers anyone $4,000 to just walk away right then and there. A few people actually took the deal. Between them and the ones who broke their cookie, the number of players dropped all the way down to just 142. All right, so with the field seriously thinned out, the entire game just shifts. It's not just about surviving on your own anymore. The social game kicks in. Who can you trust? And, well, who's going to stab you in the back? And you can really see that shift in the next two games. First, you have tug of war. Pure teamwork, pure strength. They form teams of 10, and get this, one team was so strong, they literally broke the set. But then, right after all that teamwork, came marbles. And marbles was just cruel. It was designed to completely destroy those alliances by making you face off against your closest friend. Yeah, tug of war was absolutely brutal. It literally cut the field in half, taking the competition from 120 players down to just 60. Entire teams just gone, falling into a giant foam pit below. But marbles was where the real emotional pain happened. You see, MrBeast's team had been watching. They knew who was becoming friends, who the roommates were, and they paired them up on purpose. This quote just says it all. The absolute heartbreak of having to personally knock out the one person you thought you could count on. And just like that, boom, the number was cut in half again. Only 30 people made it through that emotional nightmare, and every single one of them had to live with the fact that they eliminated a friend to get there. So what comes next? Well, arguably the most nerve-wracking game of the entire competition. This one wasn't really about skill. It was almost all about pure luck and guts. The bridge of glass. But wait, before they even got to the bridge, they had to earn their spot. The 30 survivors played a quick game of dakji, and only the first 16 to win moved on. Then, they had to pick a numbered vest, and that number decided their order for crossing the bridge. Let me tell you, picking number 1 was basically a curse. The bridge itself was just pure chaos. I mean, the first contestant fell almost right away. Then this strategic standoff happens where nobody wants to take that 50-50 risk. But as the clock starts ticking down, under 3 minutes, it's just a mad dash. And in a final, brutal twist, 4 people didn't even fall. They were eliminated just because they ran out of time.
So when all the chaos and shattered glass settled, only 6 people were left standing. These were the finalists. They had survived everything, skill, luck, betrayal, to make it to the very end.
All right, this is it. Everything has been leading up to this moment. One final game to decide who is walking away with nearly $500,000. And in a perfect little nod to the original show, the final 6 get to sit down for a steak dinner. It was this weirdly calm moment before the final storm, a chance for them to think about how far they'd come and, what they'd actually do with all that money. So everyone's thinking the final game has to be the actual Squid Game, right? But nope, MrBeast pulls one last surprise. He figured most of the contestants wouldn't know the rules of the Korean game, so he swapped it for something everybody knows, musical chairs. And you know what? It was an incredible finale. 6 players, 5 chairs. The tension was just off the charts. One player makes this absolutely heartbreaking mistake. He sits down just a split second before the music officially stopped. And just like that, his chance is gone. It all comes down to 2 players circling one single chair. And in the end, it was contestant 079 who got the last seat. He won. He walked away with the whole $456,000. But in a really cool move, MrBeast gave the runner-up 10 grand, just as a consolation prize for getting so close. This whole thing was more than just a YouTube video. It was a huge moment in entertainment, completely blurring the line between a TV show and real life. And it really makes you wonder, right? What does it actually take to create something that captivates millions of people like this? Is it the money? Is it the perfect recreation of something we all love? Or is it just seeing that raw human drama play out for real? And maybe the biggest question is, what does it say about us that we just couldn't stop watching?